Hashmark dependency is a major part of Madden. If you don't lab your offense and honestly your zone coverage on the short and wide side of the field, you're not going to have an understanding of how routes work. But a lot of times you get stuck in between the hash marks where things get a little wonky. And I think it's important that you guys lab your offense in those capacities as well. So today I'm going to show you guys a trick on how you guys can get wheel routes open on either sideline when you're just inside the hash marks and things start to get a little bit less consistent. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell, grab out your pen and pad, and let's get after it. Now we're going to be running the bunch tight end in today's video, but for those of you that are curious, this is a general rule that you can run with a lot of different bunch formations, or you can lab your offense in general to see if you can get routes to these spots on the field, because we're going to be taking a look at running a wheel on both sidelines against a variety of man coverages. We're going to explain that the short side wheel concept when you're on a hash is really good out of the bunch tight end. In fact, one of the things I most like to do, especially against two-man under, is just run a concept where I have a streak down the middle of the field and then I have a wheel route that follows, because this wheel route is going to destroy man-to-man coverage. You can just rack catch this, and a lot of times a deep half safety won't even be able to cut this throw off. I can't tell you how many times I've thrown touchdowns against this. Now, what's really awesome about this is that this also extends into other types of man coverage. So this will also apply against the cover one. What's up, guys? If you're enjoying this video, make sure you guys check out my pre-sale offer on gridirongameplans.gg. You guys can unlock everything in Madden 26 or college football 26, or both if you guys want to bundle your pre-sale offers together for just one upfront payment. That's going to give you access to every vault update I put out all year long. Those are weekly installments fixated on what the metas or the trends of competitive Madden or college football are, how they work, and how to counter them. That way you're spending less on packs, winning more in rewards, and buying cards off the auction house rather than giving EA more money for packs that don't give you anything that help your team. Also, make sure that you guys check out our game plan section, because you guys will get all offensive and defensive game plans at no additional charge. These are schemes that are built for you to install vault tips on. This is the skeleton. The vault tips are the muscle and the rest of the tissues that go onto your skeleton. So make sure that you guys are running everything that is on the website. Make sure you check out our Discord. We have lab sessions in our Discords weekly, and new this year, will we be hosting our lab sessions on the website the next day. So that way, if you guys can't attend live in the Discord, you won't miss out on anything we talked about. Best deal in the tip space. Go check it out. Now back to the video. The thing about two-man under is that it plays what's called trail technique, or a stock shade underneath for the man-to-man. Cover one doesn't necessarily do that, but yet you will see that wheel routes accelerate late in the play after they've turned up the sideline, and they run past the man-to-man. In fact, the man-to-man actually slows down on the sideline. In fact, you probably saw in our intro those little clips where the guys just basically look like they stopped trying. Well, that's what happens with bunch tight end with this outside receiver on a wheel route. You'll see that he runs and everything looks good here, and then about 20 yards down the field, this is where the player just gives up on guarding the route. And you'll see here that we could throw it and he just lags behind. And then a lot of times this ends up being a touchdown. But one of the things that is a little bit weird is when you start to get off the hash mark a little bit. Maybe you throw a whip route in the middle of the field, or a return route, or you run the ball and you don't get to a hash mark. A lot of times this can end up leading to inconsistencies in your route combos. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you, we're still safe with this bunch tight end. We're going to run this ball here, and you're going to see that the guy just stops guarding it, and we rack catch it, and we're up the field. But sometimes when you're off the hash mark, this rule set won't extend to every formation. So this is where it's really important to start labbing your offense to see if you can get similar types of response. So you see right here, when I'm off this hash mark, I try to run this wheel. It still works in the bunch spread nasty. One of the things that we need to talk about is that it's not really just short side, wide side. It's really about where the receiver lines up. You see right here, if you put a wheel route and he's lined up basically on the numbers or just slightly inside the numbers like he is right here, we can elicit this response from the man-to-man corner where they do give up later in the play, and this ends up being something you can throw. So ultimately what we're looking for, going back to the bunch tight end, is to be able to run this concept not only just on this side of the field where he's lined up kind of on the numbers, but we want to see if we can toy around with the idea of getting motion of a wide receiver so they can line up on that side. So within your formation, if you want to lab this, motion a guy across and see where he lines up. you'll see right here that DJ Moore kind of lines up on the numbers outside half of the numbers here. And what we could do with this is say, okay, well, because this isn't short side, wide side, it's more so proximity to the sideline itself. I'm going to put him on a wheel route and I'm going to motion him over here. And my goal here is to elicit that same response by the guy on the wide side where he just stops running and I can throw this ball up the field rather than us just simply trying to look at it from a short side situation. You see, a lot of people are prepared for the short side wheel route. I can't tell you how many players I've had in the last week or so since I've started to run this a lot more against these heavier man coverage players out of 6-1 or 3-4 odd or double mug. They'll switch stick and play this route. But as you can see in the background, they can't switch stick and guard two of these at the same time. It's simply too far to be able to do this. So now we found within this offense a way that we can get this exact route combo the way that we want. Now, of course, let's say that we're perfectly inside the numbers here. I'm just going to call this bunch spread nasty, for instance. And we're facing man to man. You see right here that the wheel route to the X receiver is not going to work because it's too far inside the numbers. And the guy stays stride for stride with him. Now, right there, we got very lucky. They kind of bumped into each other, but this is not something that you would, think to throw right away. I'll do this again here. It looked okay, but again, in terms of inconsistency, you see that the guy is staying with him much longer in the play. Well, if we want to get that open sooner, we need to lab this offense. So if we motion Odunze across, you see he lines up way too close. Let's say if we motion another player, we motion Moore across. He lines up in a little bit further alignment, but again, so far inside the numbers, that doesn't really play. And then we try to motion our point man Komet, and he's going to motion across, and he is going to line up kind of in that same spot. So with this specific location, we're not in a spot where really anybody is going to get the type of route that we're looking for. We might be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to run a couple of these where I'm just going to have maybe a wheel on both sides, but I know it's going to take a lot longer. I'm going to have to hold the ball longer before this type of response happens. And you see right there that, again, you're not getting that until much later in the play, okay? So basically, you want to get these guys closer to the numbers if possible because the guys start jogging sooner. If you are running these wheels against man-to-man coverage and they're lined up, a step or two inside, they really don't stop trying on the play until you're talking 30, 40 yards downfield, and that's where this throw is possible. So in terms of labbing these concepts inside the numbers or inside the hash marks is the easier way to say it, you have to find spacing within your offense that really can give you the response from your slot wheel that you're looking for. So this is how you lab your offense to be able to get wheel routes open on either side of the field. It's not so much a short side deal so much as it is relative to where the numbers on the field are for your wheel route. Create motion, try to get different wide receiver splits. Test this out when you're in between the hash marks because you're going to find that there's different windows that can open up to wheel routes that maybe you didn't know existed because you've only focused on the short side deal. And also make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell, drop a comment below if you guys liked the video. I will see you guys tomorrow with our next one. Until then, this is Zan. Get the lab and good luck.